Hi guys, Talk TV could have had someone who actually knows what they're talking about on to discuss what happened in Southport and then Hartlepool and then Westminster. But no, they began scraping the bottom of the barrel and discovered communist turned right-wing loon Claire Fox. Sorry, Baroness Claire Fox. So she seems to believe that the rioting was justified because some people were not able to air their grievances in public. What grievances? They're upset over pro-Gaza demonstrations, it seems.
I think that the anger is completely justified, and I think there's a lot of pent-up frustration because, let's be honest, for the last few years there's been attempts to gaslight anyone who asks any questions at all about, for example, civil, unrest.
Yep.
People who say, I feel very frightened by seeing these pro-Gaza demos, not the demos, but the fact that they have people on them causing trouble, shouting anti-Semitic slogans, getting away with it.
And blatantly supporting violent, murderous terrorists on our streets.
And feeling that, just stop oil, prepared to disrupt your everyday journeys. And
so I had to stop it here. 42 seconds in, and I still can't, and I can't take the absolute tripe that she's talking. So she's talking about how it's justified that people, in some cases, were bussed into an area where a grieving family were trying to come to terms with the loss of their children. You had people bussed into a community, organized on social media. They arrived. In some cases, they brought beer with them. And she's saying their actions where they destroy property, private property, they destroyed a mini market. Thankfully, the owner of that mini market is now receiving support from the community to reopen. Buildings were damaged. The police were attacked. A number of police officers had serious injuries to them. And police vehicles were set on fire. That's all justified because some people on a march that happened months ago acted in a way that they didn't like, or because Just Stop Oil blocked a road. How are these things related? How are these three things related? The protest, for example, of Just Stop Oil, how is that related to what happened in Southport? And how is somebody arriving with crates of beer to cause damage related to either of those either?
And somehow that's to be ignored. Anyway, you can understand, and just a general sense that mass shoplifting can happen and nobody can do anything about it. The police have seemed to say emasculated, if I can use that word without being accused of sexism, completely robbed of any gumption.
Yeah.
So that can be true, and people are angry. And of course, then this absolutely awful tragedy in Southport of children being butchered will bring that out. But at the same time, I don't want to be naive. There are indeed bad faith actors in this. Only too keen. I mean, I kind of call them hard right. I don't really.
Sorry, which of the rioters were good actors and which of the rioters were bad faith actors? Were there some people who were throwing bricks, good people, and some of them bad? How do you identify which ones were good and which were bad?
Know what else to call them. I do think it's amusing or bemusing or utterly galling that the government want to turn the EDL into a prescribed organisation, an organisation nobody's heard of for years. She's actually likely to act as a recruiting sergeant.
EDL hasn't existed since, I think, 2013.
But I think it might well emerge now because they're trying to ban it. I mean, that's what always happens. But to try and say that there's only the hard right involved is ridiculous. To label anyone...
I have to stop here. Which left-wing organizations were throwing bricks? Which left-wing groups were ripping up mortar and launching it through people's windows or through the windows of police cars? Which lefties were smashing police officers in the mouth? She's trying to say this is a two-sided thing. How is this a two-sided thing? Tommy Robinson organised a march a few days earlier. 20,000, I believe, people turned up. Now, of course, it attracted anti-vaxxers, it attracted flat earthers, it attracted all sorts of crazy people. Some of them probably on the left, but they liked what he was talking about, or they seen an opportunity to promote their ideals. But that's separate, I think, in a sense, to what happened in Southport. This rioting. Some people turned up because they liked to riot. Some of them, it seems, were football hooligans. There was a whole group, but it was mainly right-wing. If you have evidence of left-wing organizations or groups that were involved in this as well, please point it out. Otherwise, you're just pulling stuff out of your behind, which is, something that Baroness Fox does on a regular basis. Show us some evidence of that. See, what she's trying to do, I believe, is say, look, yes, there are bad people, but they're on the left and on the right. But when it comes to protests that she disagrees with, so for example, protests related to Gaza, it's all left-wing. If it's Just Stop Oil, well, they're all left-wing, then we need to shut them down. But when it's people perhaps she agrees with, then it's justified because they've been gaslit over the last number of years. They're not allowed to air their grievances. We need to listen to them. We need to sit down and talk to them. Disgraceful behavior. But then it's nothing new from this individual. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.